What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Just a guy on my lunch break is back. It is Friday, finally. Man, that hamster wheel has been rough this week. My wife's been having to work out of town for a few days this week, so she's been having to get up earlier, probably an hour and a half earlier than what we typically do. So my infant son has had to wake up earlier. He's had to go to daycare earlier. I've had to wake up earlier, which is no bueno when you're doing a taper. Let's just get honest about that. But what I am going to talk about today is, where I'm at with my tapering process, which not a lot has changed since yesterday, but that's the whole idea, is to sustain the same amount for several days until your body kind of gets accustomed to that amount. Then you want to drop it, okay? I'm not at the point where I'm ready to drop it again. I'll talk about that. And I'm also going to talk a little bit. I didn't print any comments out today. To be completely transparent, it simply has to do with the fact that there's something wrong with our printer at work. And I have a printer that's actually in my office that I just received today that I'll be able to start, doing that more easily, more often. But something is wrong with the community printer. And so I wasn't able to print out any comments today. So with that said, I'm just going to kind of be spitballing it, snowballing it, shitstorming it, whatever you want to call it, improving. That's what I'm going to be doing today. But then I'll talk about my Kratom taper, where it's at, a little bit of information surrounding that. I'll also talk about a friend of mine who lives across the world, who reached out to me. This person is a fan of the channel. They watch the channel. I'm not going to give the person's name or information because I want to respect their privacy, especially regarding the nature of the statement, the shocking statement that I received from this person. So I'm also going to discuss that, but I told that person that I would not mention who they are and that no one would know who this person is that I'm talking about, because I try to respect that on here. I think everyone kind of knows that if you leave a comment on the channel, it's kind of suspect. Not suspect. Suspect? What's the good word? Let's just say it's there to be read. And it's there to be talked about by me. And I think everyone kind of understands that. So, most people don't put anything in the comments that is of the type of personal nature, where where they don't want me to talk about it in front of, almost 750 subscribers at this point. That's a good segue to, if you like this sort of content, the transparency, the type of topics that I talk about on here, which can be a little bit of everything, if I'm being honest with you. And I have talked about a little bit of everything on here. About the only thing I haven't talked about is politics. And I'll never talk about politics because I hate politics. And I don't give a about politics. Let's just get real about it. But anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I might finish it off with kind of tying a bow around our conversation yesterday about Kratom powder versus Kratom tea. Because I'm, getting several people to jump on and raise their hands. And, I second that emotion. It is true. That's actually the most healthy way to consume Kratom is through the tea. That way your digestive system is not having to deal with the powder. And there's some implications. I've not done this research myself. But there are some implications about not only how the Kratom powder, especially in larger amounts, can affect your digestive system, but it has implications on your heart. So, it can relate to cardiac. I don't know so much about respiratory, but definitely cardiac and gastrointestinal seem to be kind of the biggest concerns. And like I've talked about before, the mental, emotional, not psychiatric, but psychotropic sort of effects. I think those are kind of the same, in my opinion, across the board. No matter what form of ingestion you're using, whether it be, a powder, a gummy, a kratom extract, a tea, whatever it is, your body is still processing those alkaloids. And so how it affects you in your psyche, I think it's probably the same across the board. But physically, all things are not the same. How it affects your gastrointestinal tract, how it affects your cardiac system, you know, that sort of thing. And obviously, we all want to live long, healthy lives, as long as healthy as possible, right? I mean, my grandfather, my dad's father, lived to be 103 years old. 103. It's pretty damn good. My father, at this point, is 80 years old. For an 80-year-old man, he's in very good health, you know, and I would like to keep that trend going, right? And as you guys know, I am a 47-year-old father to an infant. My son River's birth was not expected. We didn't think that my wife could even have children, right? Because doctors have told her it will be very unlikely that she would have children. So at 47 years old, I become a surprise father again to a little baby boy. Now, was I disappointed in any way? Of course not. I love that guy to the stars and back. There's no way to describe how much I love him. And the same thing with my eldest son as well. So, you know, there's no wishing to go back on it, but let's just be honest. I'm going to be retiring by the time this kid graduates high school, right? Right? By the time he's 18 years old, my ass is going to be looking to collect Social Security and retire, okay? That's not the case for most parents. And so that also, you know, puts kind of a spin on things for me, a spin on life for me, where I'm like, you know what? I'm looking to be as healthy as possible and to live as long as I possibly can, right? I think we all want that. We don't always do the things and put one foot in front of the other, or eat the things, or exercise the way we should, or drink the things that we should, or ingest and consume the things we should to make that happen. I agree with that. But I think deep down in our heart of hearts, that's something everybody wants. You know, nobody wants to die. I mean, we all want to live as long as we possibly can, right? And especially me being a new father, you know, I want to be able to watch my son, you know, grow older. I mean, I'm going to be a 77-year-old man by the time my youngest infant, by the time he is 30. You know, I want to be able to see him get married. I want to be able to see him start a family of his own. You know, I want to be able to see all of these things. And that stuff is forever present in my mind, you know, regarding Kratom and anything else that I might do in my life that could potentially have a negative footprint on my health. Understood? And whether you have a young infant son or not, I think everyone can kind of get on board with that. We all want to be as healthy as we can and live as long as we can, right? So if Kratom is something that you really get a lot of benefits from and you want to continue to use Kratom, I think it's fair to say that you should want to use Kratom in the most healthy, you know, non-obtrusive way possible in your life, right? And it seems like, based on the discussions we've been having recently, maybe the tea is the way to go. Maybe I'll start promoting that more on here. I have drank Kratom tea before. I've not made it myself. I've not steeped it myself. Something I plan to do this weekend. Maybe I'll put up a little video, a little quick edit about it, about, you know, how I'm going about it and all that stuff to give you guys an idea of how to do it. It can also be ordered. I know Super Speciosa has it. They actually have, you know, pre-packaged tea bags. I don't know how all that stacks up versus the grams. You know, where the question marks for me right now are surrounding the tea is, you know, I'm currently on about 17 grams. I've tapered to about 17 grams of Kratom powder yesterday. Well, the day before as well, but I also did it yesterday. And if I switch over to the tea, I want to know that I'm not taking the equivalent of more than 17 grams of Kratom powder. Understood? I don't want to start taking the amount of tea every day that is equivalent to 50 grams of Kratom powder, right? That's where because I'm in the middle of a taper, so that's kind of where my concern is of switching over to the tea. I guess the only way to really know that, and maybe you guys can drop it in the comments. I'm guessing, you know, let's say if I'm doing 5 grams per dose, maybe I, you know, make the tea 5 grams, you know, put 5 grams of powder and then do the steeping process that way. I guess that'll kind of equal 1-to-1 maybe. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but that's what I'm assuming. If you guys have any more information on that, I would love it if you guys drop it in the comments, because I do get a lot of good information from you guys in the comments. And I got some good comments yesterday too, and I was disappointed that I couldn't print out some of those this afternoon. I've had a very hectic, busy day at work. Friday's a very busy day for me because I'm getting ready for our next week of production. So I've got meetings all morning, and you know, then I have spreadsheets and stuff that I have to work on. So it's kind of a hectic day for me. So I have one of those things where at the last minute I was like, oh, you know, lunchtime in 30 minutes. So I started going on and was going to print out a few comments, and then I realized that our printer was messed up. I was like, oh. So didn't have time to work around that, which is why I'm just kind of snowballing it today. But anyway, so yeah, as I said, I did 17 grams again yesterday. And this is something that I want everyone to be aware of. So yesterday was actually my first day doing the 17 grams, right? Earlier this week, I was somewhere around 19 and a half, something like that. The following day, I went down to about 18.5. After the 18.5, I went straight down to 17. That's after one day, right? So I didn't really stick to the rule of, you know, spend 3 or 4 days on that particular dose so that your body can kind of self-adjust and self-regulate to that dose. Then you drop it down. And when you do drop it down, you're not supposed to drop it down a whole 1.5 grams at a time. Not really the best move, right? So, you know, I'm one of those people, and I've talked to a lot of you guys that are the same way. Maybe it's an addict mindset, you know, it's a go hard or go home, all or nothing, you know, sort of mindset that we possess as, you know, people who struggle with substance abuse. Maybe it's that. I don't know what it is. But you know, I'm one of those people in every area of my life, you know. I'm just not a half-asser, you know, even when it comes to my substance use. Either I'm not going to use it or I'm going to use the hell out of it, you know, often. And so anyway, so I went down straight from 18.5 grams to 17 grams on Wednesday, and that's what I took Wednesday night. I took a melatonin over the night, and I slept okay. Wasn't that bad. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, damn, you know, that's pretty good. Straight from 18.5 down to 17 grams, and actually felt okay. I actually slept okay. You know, this is a surprise to me. Well, then last night came. Yeah, last night came. Did not sleep that well. I was, for a large portion of the night, now let me be clear. I was not in, like, full-on withdrawal mode. This is not, you know, laying in bed, shaking and twitching and restless legs. And this, I just had some kind of general discomfort. I wouldn't call it major. I wouldn't call it severe. I also wouldn't call it mild, really. It was more like mild to moderate. You know, it wasn't anything terrible, but I definitely could feel it. Like my temperature regulation was a little bit off. I noticed I got to sweating a little more under the covers than what I normally do. I mean, I'm the type of person that when I sleep, I pull the covers up over my chest, and the only thing sticking out of the covers is my neck and my head. You know, so I'm a person that, you know, will obviously generate some heat when I'm sleeping anyway. So it's not out of the ordinary for me to wake up and be like, damn, you know, a little hot, a little sweaty. But I noticed that was a little more pronounced last night. That's something that happens. The slight sweating, the clamminess, you know, that's kind of a withdrawal thing, okay? And as far as the rest of it, I was just waking up a lot, you know? It was one of those where I couldn't really, seemed like I couldn't stay asleep for more than about an hour or two at the most before I was waking up. And then I got to a point in the middle of the night, because I took my last dose right around 6 o'clock in the evening. And that was my 5-gram dose, right? And I think that could be where I'm messing up a little bit. I should probably try to push that out a little closer to my bedtime, because I took it at 6 o'clock, and then I keep 2 grams of capsules beside my bed on my nightstand, so that when I wake up in the middle of the night, I can pop one of those, once I start to feel uncomfortable, and then I can keep sleeping through the night. I think tonight I'll try to push that last dose that I take. I'll try to push that a little further out. Maybe take it around 7:30, something like that. Maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours before I lay down. We lay down pretty early. Yeah, I have an infant son. I'm 47 years old. My wife's almost 40. We live a very low-key life. I ain't going out there partying. This guy ain't doing no partying these days. I'm a family man, right? So admittedly, we're usually in bed by 9 o'clock, sometimes even earlier, sometimes a little later. If we got in bed by 9:30 or 10, that will be on the later side for us. Let's just put it that way. We're typically in bed pretty early. So I'll probably take that dose a little bit closer to my actual close my eyes and sleep time. When I lay down, instead of dozing off, going to sleep, and then waking up a few hours later and already starting to feel some withdrawals, I think what I'll do is go ahead and take another gram right before I go to bed, and then I'll try to just stretch that out as far as I can, and maybe take that other gram that I have sitting over there. I'll maybe try to take it at like 3 in the morning or something, because we're always up. We go to bed early, but then we get up early. We're never really in bed past 7 a.m. Even on the weekends, we get up pretty early. So next week I'll report that to you guys. I'll report to you kind of how that's going. Obviously I'm going to have to stay on point this weekend. I've put a good probably 2 weeks into just taking 3 times a day, making sure that I'm not doing any interdosing. I've done that on the weekends as well. I've been very, very consistent and very, very vigilant about that. I'm pretty proud of myself. And it's one of those things, the further you get into it, now you don't want to backtrack, right? If you only done it for a day or two, and then you kind of have that, that voice popping in your head, oh, you didn't sleep well last night, just go ahead and take an extra 5. Just go ahead and take an extra 5 today. You'll sleep like a baby, bro. It'd be good. It'll be good. Then the next day you can get back on your taper. No. Because then you ain't got any skin in the game. You got 1 day. You're like, well, damn, I only did 1 day. Well, shit, I'll just do the taper another time. You know how we are. You know how we are. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on, sister. You know how we are. You know how we do. Rationalize the hell out of that shit. Until the cows come home, bro. Rationalizing it. Damn. It's that addict mindset. But my point in saying that is now, I've strung a good 13, 14 days together where I've been vigilant, I've been consistent about just doing the 3 doses per day, not going over, what my taper has been set for that day. And with that, I've got more skin in the game now. Now I've got 2 weeks in this bitch, So 2 weeks, I ain't trying to go back on, I'm not trying to renege on that very easily, right? I'm trying to stick with it. And it's hard to say what the key to getting that 2 weeks is. It's just a matter of you just make up your mind. You just make up your mind, and you just have to get firm with yourself. You have to get hard on yourself. You have to be like, shut up, take off the bubble wrap. It's gonna suck a little bit, and you're gonna get poked a little bit. The withdrawals aren't gonna feel great, but if you want to get to a point where it's better for you, where you're gonna either get at a much lower amount that's more comfortable and healthy, or if you're wanting to completely come off, you have to pay the piper. I haven't used this in a while, but it's absolutely true. Eventually, you're gonna have to pay the piper. There's no way to just breeze right by it. People try to find ways to sidestep it and go around it, try to find ways to jump over it. People try to find ways to get on their back and just slide up under it, hoping that the withdrawals aren't going to... No. You know, and there's always the option of going to a doctor and get, you know, or going to a rehab facility and getting like some Suboxone or some Subutex. And I've heard people talk about, you know, microdosing ketamine. I had somebody mention that this morning, which I've heard a lot about that. There's different things that people can do to try to make it easier. But as far as getting through the whole thing unscathed without any discomfort, it just ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. And what you have to do is prepare your mind for that, you know. And I think if you prepare your mind for that and you decide, okay, it's going to suck a little bit, I know that, but the only way to get to point B when I'm currently at point A is to not backslide, right? You have to not be able to backslide. By backsliding, I mean taking an extra dose, doing that intradose, taking that other, you know, 3, 4, 5 gram dose that you used to take at 10 o'clock when you were taking 40, 50 grams a day. You can't do that now. You have to switch it up. You have to do something different. And the good news is that does get easier. Now that I've been close to, you know, 2 weeks and just taking the 3 times a day, it's getting a lot easier now. You know, when that 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour, 11 o'clock hour rolls around, I'm not thinking about it nearly as much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still using a small amount of Kratom. I still have that addiction. So obviously, you know, there are times where I'm like, damn, it'd be nice to take a big fat dose right now. You know, especially if something triggers me or something stressful happens or something like that, you know. But it's more so just the mental aspect, just the craving aspect, right? Because the physical aspect of like feeling like low mood, kind of lethargic, like physically drained and stuff, that stuff has kind of started to go away. I'm not really even noticing it anymore, right? And that's a big part of it. That's one of the biggest and hardest parts of going through some sort of withdrawal, right? Just putting one foot in front of the other when you feel like you got 10-pound ankle weights on, you know, that stuff gets tough. But if you put some skin in the game and you put 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days together where you're not doing these interdoses and you're stretching 4, 5, 6 hours in between your doses, you can get to a point where that stuff becomes a lot easier, right? And your body's not nearly as anticipatory of that next dose coming in, right? And you don't quite harp on it and obsess about it nearly as much. So I'm going to try to finish this off with talking about a gentleman. So I had a gentleman, you know, on this channel. I hope you guys know, I've talked about this before. I try to read every one of the comments. Every once in a while, one will slip by me and I'll see one and be like, oh, damn, this was 3 weeks ago. How'd I miss this? But, you know, 740 something subscribers now. So I have a fair amount of people watching, a fair amount of people that watch every day, a fair amount of people that comment every day, which I appreciate that. I absolutely do. But I hope you guys know, and I've talked about it before, I'm only one person. I have a very, very busy life. You know, I'm a father, I'm a husband, father of 2, one of those being an infant. I work a full-time job. You know, you know how the hamster wheel of life is, right? Well, I have that hamster wheel of life. Plus, I have this channel, and plus, people commented all the time, and I try to get back with those people when I can. Here recently, you've probably noticed my responses are getting a little shorter. I know you guys know this, but I am such a sensitive person. No, I really am. And I like to support people, you know, probably to a fault sometimes. I like to support people. I like to help people. I get that from my mother. I really do. And it's not a bad thing, but it is one of those things where I find myself just not having as much time. Channel's getting too big now. So if I come on and I'm just like, thanks, I really appreciate it, and that's it, you know, don't be like, oh, damn, time. Well, what'd I do? You didn't do anything. You guys are awesome. I appreciate and love every last one of you. But just understand there's only one of me. And then that's a good segue into the fact that there are times where I get into, you know, kind of relationships with people outside of this channel. And I've shared, you know, my Facebook. There's been a couple people find me on Facebook and start talking to me. 1 or 2 times I've had given people my phone number and stuff like that if I make a significant connection with people. Most people aren't really expecting that. They know what this is. It's just I'm kind of hosting this podcast. They enjoy it. They get on, talk about it. Everybody talks back and forth, and everybody gets a platform that's open for talking about this sort of thing. And aside from that, nobody really expects anything. They know what it is, you know, that I'm just the host of this channel. And they're not expecting me to, like, be their best friend ever, you know, outside of it. Which, if I had 1,000,000 hours in the day, there's nothing I would love more than to get to know everybody more than I do. But you know, I do make those connections outside of the channel sometimes. And I've made a connection with one individual on Facebook, and they reached out to me today, and they were saying that they had relapsed on 5 grams of H. Maybe, was it 5 grams? Or lines, I'm sorry. They did that to H. You know what H is, right? Hopefully you know what H is. And I know this person has a lot going on, and it's one of those things where I felt really bad. This person lives across the world from me, okay? Seems like a sweetheart of a person. And I want to support this person the very best way I can, and the very best way I felt that it would be to do it is to talk about it on here and just not give any information about who this person is, because I want to respect this person's privacy, because I'm sure he didn't want everybody knowing that this has happened with him. But he went on, and it's one of those things where I started getting message after message after message, and I could tell this was really stressing him out. And he started saying to me, you know, don't be disappointed. I'm sorry if I didn't disappoint you. And I was thinking, bro, it's not that serious. You know, we all make mistakes. You know, this is a mistake that you made. You don't have to apologize to me for anything. You know, I mean, I do consider you a friend, but I'm just some guy across the world who has a limited ability to be able to really put you in the right place. Really, all I have is my words of encouragement to be able to say to you, hey, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this person lives in a different country than I do. There's nothing I can do, you know, other than just try to give words of encouragement to this person. And I know their mother has been sick as well. He relapsed on H and was just saying that, you know, and I started getting message after message, and I can tell he's really stressed out about this. And I want to say, too, he mentioned something about, you were right about deleting my comment on your video. And I was like, I haven't deleted any comment. So I just want to say to you, my friend, I don't delete comments on here. The only time I've ever deleted a comment on this channel was in the very, very, very beginning, probably close to a year ago now, when I first started the channel, and I had a couple of just hateful, like, troll type people come on and just being hateful to people. And there were a couple of times where I was like, oh, I'll show him, you know, and I would delete the comment. But I also blocked the user as well, because I don't want, you know, to create that sort of negative narrative on this channel, right? I try to control that as the you know, responsible owner of this channel. I take the community guidelines serious, and this person wasn't following them. They were just being downright hateful. It wasn't an opinion. It was them being hateful. But then he said that, you know, you were right for deleting the comment. Like, if I ever go too far, say something, don't be afraid to tell me. I'm like, whoa, bro, where's all this coming from? You know, because I support you, my friend, the very best I can. But mostly that is through words of encouragement. You know, I live in a different country than you. Plus, we're both very busy people. I'm a very busy person. We're on a different time schedule. This person is like, I think 8 hours ahead of me. 8 hours. 8 hours. So while I'm at work, you know, during the day, it's 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night where this person lives. Okay. So all of those things put together, it makes it hard for me to have a consistent, like, back and forth, because I've just got absolutely too much going on to be able to do that. But they made a comment too that really disrupted me, and the comment was a mention of suicide. That's some heavy shit. You know, and I've not had anyone really close to me and like in my immediate family that has struggled with that, but I have known someone, you know, my brother's ex-wife, her father committed suicide, and I've seen how devastating that is to people in the family. So one thing I want to say to you, my friend, I'm here to support you the best I can. Everybody on this channel is. If you'd like to drop on, that's your prerogative. If you want to drop on and tell everyone what's going on and talk about it, and people can give you encouragement, give you ideas, instruction, whatever, that I'll leave that